Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Bleep Bloop podcast. It has been such a long time since I've done a legit episode. I've been working on tons of things for the podcast brand, the Bleep Bloop brand, but I haven't done a podcast. So we are here. If this is your first time listening, I want to say thank you for tuning into the podcast. It means a lot. If you are a return listener, well, I want to say thank you for coming back. So much has been going on. Lots of games have been released. Lots of games I've been playing. Been doing a bunch of different things. A lot of headlines, a lot of conventions going on. Can't say I've went to any of them, but hopefully that changes in the future. But nevertheless, we are here for one thing, to talk about gamer stuff, right? Now, in the past, I did say that this podcast would not be about gaming news and reviews. And that is true. But what I said previously is I have been working on things that are under the Bleep Bloop umbrella. And a couple of those things are, I was doing a segment for a while called Bits and Pieces, and it was kind of my way to get my feet wet with covering news headlines that I found interesting. So I decided to start doing video series, a series of videos on my YouTube channel of the same name, Bleep Bloop Podcast, which was called The Headlines, where I would cover headlines for the week. So in that capacity, I will be covering the news, about 5 to 6 headlines, some of them bigger topics, and some of them will be just, articles or news headlines that I found to be interesting. All right. So if you like news and stuff, go to the YouTube channel, Bleep Bloop Podcast, subscribe, check out the videos I already got. Stay tuned for more. I also do my highlights and coverage of conventions and showcases that do take place. Sometimes I do live streams for those, and I'll announce that on Twitter, which is at Bleep Bloop Pod or at Bleep Bloop Podcast. One of the two, I forget. But in any case, that's where you will find that stuff specifically. Also, you will be able to find reviews and first looks, impressions of games on the Bleep Bloop YouTube channel. Here will always be what it started with, which was, well, realistically what it started with was gaming news, but we evolved it into just gamer topics, stuff that gamers talk about, maybe wonder to themselves, maybe they put it in the Google search, those topics that we all kind of wonder. And I have a topic today that I really don't know how I came about. How I came about it was because I watched a very funny segment with the kind of funny games crew, and they were kind of bagging on PC gamers. But in any case, it made me think, in this day and age, should I be a PC gamer? Because like when I first started playing video games, it was on console. Like I remember I had an NES, like that's what I played on. And then later down the line, I never had a Super Nintendo, but I did have a Sony PlayStation. Then I bought a Sony PlayStation 2 for myself. Then I got a 3. Then I bought a 4. I got a 5 for my kids. So I've always had consoles. And then I even got into the Xboxes, which I wasn't a fan of initially because I was an PlayStation purist. Like there's no other console. It doesn't matter. I even swore off Nintendo for a while until I think I got the Wii, I got the Wii U, and then of course we got the Switch. So I've tried to have all consoles in my household when I could eventually afford them. But when I became a streamer was when I bought my PC. It was never even really to play PC games. It was just so I could stream. So I had a good system that could run my stream for my games. I still was playing console, but I was running everything through OBS on my PC. Then I think around the time Game Pass came around was when I started really using my PC more. And then that's when I really took a dive into Steam. Well, Steam was more of when I started covering indie games was when I really started to dive into Steam because I was getting all the game codes for indie games. And that was really cool, you know. But what I've noticed with the gaming landscape is that games are on all platforms these days. And it used to be that, you know, some of the hard to find, really graphic, intense games were on PC. You know, some of those like StarCraft, World of Warcraft, like you didn't see those on PlayStation. You didn't see those on Xbox. And then, so then what the consoles were doing is they were having the console exclusive games, right? Like Halo, God of War, like that's why you had a console. And like even with Nintendo, they still do with Pokemon and with all the Mario games, the Zelda games. So there's still console exclusive games. I would even venture to say that I think Nintendo has stuck to more of their original IPs still being exclusive to their console. Like you don't see them across other platforms unless they're being emulated. So for me, it makes me really just go back and ask myself, like, do I really need a PC these days? I mean, I would venture to say that I still need one when it comes to indie games, right? Those like really abstract, one developer studios that are really about, you know, just making an independent game that you can't find on console. You can only find it in on Steam. So by that measure, I'd say, yeah, I absolutely would need a PC. But when it comes to other titles, I mean, you can get them on Xbox. You can still get them on PlayStation. I mean, that's where you want to play them anyways, because realistically, they're optimized to be played on those systems. Nevertheless, what I feel like is it's really a tough question. I just feel like I wanted to pose this question because when you look at consoles, right? PCs are still going to get improvements, advances, and game developers are still going to use PCs to develop their games. But when they're for consoles, they're going to optimize the game for that console. And then, like, let's take, for example, Starfield, right? Starfield just came out, and Starfield released to the Xbox family exclusively. So that means you're probably not going to see Starfield on PlayStation anytime soon. You know, and they did that for a reason. They wanted to get some large studios, some studios that develop high quality products under their umbrella to release exclusively to their console. And PlayStation is still doing it. When you look at Spider-Man, like Spider-Man 2 is going to drop for PlayStation exclusively. Then down the line, it will come out. So, you know, by that measure, it's like both studios or both companies are going in two different directions. PlayStation is releasing still exclusively, and then eventually they release to PC. And Xbox is saying, no, you can play if you have a PC with Game Pass, but it's going to be released exclusively to our consoles. So it's not going to PlayStation. So the only bridge is if you have a PC. But if you still have the console, like in my mind, I think that's the cheaper route to go. And I say that because you buy a PlayStation, it's $450, right? You buy an Xbox, I think it's what, $300, $400. So that's $700 if you just bought both of them. If you buy a PC, you need, first of all, if you build it, you know, you're going to pay, I mean, there's any price point, right? You can buy a budget PC that's, you know, relatively good for running stuff. And then you can go all the way up, probably no cap, right? But let's just say you buy a pre-built. Like I bought a pre-built. I bought an Alienware Aurora R7, I think it was. And the reason why I did that was because at the time, GPUs were really, really expensive. And it made more sense to just buy a pre-built that had most of the standard components at that time. You know, that was the best bang I could get for my dollar instead of building something on my own. Like I said, the GPUs were really expensive and it just didn't make sense. So, and I could run most things. But as time has went on, my GPU has become dated, computer starts to slow down, and it's one of those things where I need to buy the hardware so my computer is optimized to perform, to play, you know, some of this stuff. Now, I still can for the most part. It just isn't going to look ultra spectacular the way some people advertise these things to be, you know, whereas if you play on a PC or on a PlayStation or an Xbox with a good TV, it looks great. It looks amazing, right? Because it's optimized to play in that particular way. So I feel like I love my PC. I love it when I'm able to play indie games, but I think even some indie studios, when they do release the hard copy, what do they release to? They release the Switch. Switch is a console. Boom, you got a Steam Deck. Boom, you can still play them, right? So the need for a PC isn't as hefty as it once was, in my mind. Now, I'm not saying I'm gonna just go to console only. I also don't oppose that idea, because I don't think the landscape dictates that you need a PC anymore. I think that consoles are still relevant. They're still around. Now, if you're like me, somebody that creates content, obviously you want to have a PC because you can do multiple things with it. You can capture your content, you capture your footage, you can utilize it to make shorts, long form videos, whatever the case may be. Plus, I do a lot of other stuff, podcasting, graphics. So it makes sense to have one. But when it comes to gaming specifically, I mean, I have Xbox Game Pass. I also have the PlayStation Plus subscriptions. So realistically, I have games at my fingertips. I have games at my disposal. So, you know, having a PC is just like, it's like the icing on the cake. You know, it's like, I already got the cake. I already got the filling. I got the flavoring. I got what I want. Now I just got the icing as well. So, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think you need a PC? And I'm not talking to like anybody that's a streamer or anything like that, because I mean, it's kind of justifiable why you would need one, or content creators. But to the average person, isn't it easier to just have a console? Because think about it. Like, think about getting a PC. You need the screens. You need the peripherals. You need the actual PC itself. Then, you know, if it becomes dated, you need to update it. That costs money. Whereas if you have a console, your console is running until either it's just run down or a new one comes out. And the cost of getting a new console versus getting a new PC is way outweighed, you know? Like, I mean, come on now. Like, the option is simple. So what do you think? Do you think you need to be a PC gamer? Are there enough titles to where you can satisfy your needs as a gamer? I'd love to hear what you think. Leave a review. You can also leave comments at my email, bleepbloop.pod@gmail.com. That's BLEEPBLOOPPOD@gmail.com. All right, so I hope y'all enjoyed this one. Until the next one, y'all. Peace.